Hi there, Mark here again, and welcome to this video, which is part 4 of my build of the superb Tamiya TD4 Super Avante. As you can see, we got this far last time, so the chassis is complete. Yeah, 100% finished. I've just got to get some electronics in there, but we'll do that later. So this video is going to be all about getting that bodywork done. So let's have a look. Okay, so this is the main lexan moulding, which is obviously the main part of the bodywork, but it is rather larger than it needs to be, because there's a section at the back here. You can just see I've gone around with a Sharpie pen and outlined that piece, which is going to fit on here eventually, so that needs cutting out separately. Then you've got your 4 mud guards, one on each side there, and we've got to cut out obviously the body itself. So we've got that part of plastic, sorry I should say lexan. Then you've got this piece, which is the wing, and this, I don't know if you can see on this light, yeah, that's better. There's various lines that you can cut to get the size that you want, so we're going to cut that out. And you also get this piece, a lot of wasted lexan here, because there's just this small bit here, which is the cockpit, and you've got this piece here, which again I think that goes at the back inside behind the driver. So yeah, so just those 2 pieces to cut out of there. So let's have a look at the tools that I'm going to be using. So in the instructions it does show here some advice about how to cut it out, the polycarbonate or lexan parts. You've got the scissors for the straight sections there, and it's showing the score and snap method, and they're a good advice of not to put your finger behind the lexan as you're cutting through it. So there's the 2 different ways of cutting it out. I'm going to do both, and then it shows you how to cut out the holes. So here I've got a selection. I've got a couple of stainless steel scissors, very sharp for those straight edges. My favourite little pair of curved nail scissors, also stainless steel and very sharp, so I can cut some of the curved sections with those. I've also got a very short set of straight scissors, plus I've got a selection of small hobby files. These will be for smoothing off after I've done the initial cuts, in case there's any rough pieces left. And then I've got that all important body reamer and a hobby knife, and with that I've got a selection of blades here that I can use for cutting the tricky parts of the body. So let's get on with it. As I said, it might be useful for you to use a very fine point Sharpie just to go around and mark those cut lines if you can't see them properly, and yeah, do that first. The first thing I'm going to do is use these small scissors to separate the main parts before I get right down to the cut lines. Okay, with all that excess lexan removed, as you can see, it's a lot easier to get to these cut lines now. And yeah, same for the body. You can see with the wing I've gone for like the second highest setting, so it's a little bit bigger than it shows in the instructions, but that's what I'll do. I'll give that a go. And here's that little wing piece that I've trimmed right down. That's going to go on there eventually, but I've cut that quite close to the cut line, and I'm going to rub that down with some abrasive paper. Just to show you the score and snap method, I've just left this intact because it's quite rigid as it is, and now I can get my blade and really carefully follow those lines. Being extra careful when you get to the little curved corners. Okay, when you've gone all the way around, it's a matter of basically trying to bend the lexan now, and it should start to snap. There we go, you can see that. And on some sections you can kind of tear it across like that. Here it comes. Okay, so that's the score and snap method. I'll just use the longer scissors now to get these straighter lines cut out, and I'll be back in a bit. So that's everything cut out as best as I can with the scissors and with the knife. So what it's time to do now is to get out the abrasive papers. I've got various grades, so I'm going to start with something quite rough, and I'm going to rub along the edges. Make sure you go along where you can and not across. It makes a terrible noise and it doesn't make such a smooth finish. So I'm going to smooth all the edges off best I can, and I'm going to get it all washed out. And it's time to cut out the window masks and get those put on. The body's now rubbed down, all the edges are nice and smooth, and it's time to put those masking on. Well, I'm just going to put these 4 on because I'm not actually going to mask off the 2 side windows. I'm going to paint those in a body colour. So I'm going to do the cockpit bit first, the window, and it's made up of 3 parts. So basically this fits inside. Just make sure you look at it from the outside to make sure it's lined up properly. So that one goes on first, and then C goes on the other side, and then D just covers the gap in the middle. Right, so let's get on with that. Well, that was the right tricky so-and-so, I've got to say. There's quite a bit of a gap at the front. I don't know, I don't think I can do that any better. I'll try a little differently on this side. I think I'll try and stick that bottom edge on first and take it from there. Well, it looks like both these are different sizes. I don't know if you can see that, there's a different length on this one. So I'm going to go away now and try to sort this out. What a pain. Okay, so I took that first one off, that B mask, and reapplied it. It's a little bit better, it kind of matches up. I don't know if you can see front and back now, but it still is a bit short, so hopefully the surround sticker that you put on, or the decal that goes around, is going to make up for those little gaps. Well, fingers crossed anyway. So that's the 2 sides on, and then obviously the last one is sticker D, or masking D, and that's going to go in the middle and just block off the rest. So I'll just get that finished. So with those 2 areas masked off, you can see I've put kind of a pinstripe line down each side here. What I'm going to do is go for a separate colour along the inside and a different one on the outside. So I've just masked some straight lines off. What I'm going to do now is fill in these gaps with masking tape, spray my dark coat, which is going to be on the outside, and I'll come back and show you what I've done. So here it is with the first colour on, and as you can see I've gone for PS23, which is gunmetal. And now I need to get this masking off, leave the window mask on obviously, and get the other colour on, which is going to be PS57, which is pearl white. As you can see, I used spare cut-offs of the window masks for these pinstripes, and it seems to have done a good job. Don't think there's any bleed going on there. No, looks quite good. Okay, so I'll be back when I've done the white. While the white paint's drying, I thought I'd have a go at the wing, so I masked off the top, because there's no protective coating on that. The protective coating's on the bottom, that protective layer, and it looks like I've sprayed it silver, but I did spray it pearl white first, and I've backed it in silver, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the ends in that gunmetal grey. So what I did, you probably can't see on this, but I put a score line with my hobby knife into the backing. And what I'm going to do now is hopefully try and peel that off, and it should leave the ends clear. Let's have a look. There we go. I've done this before, it always leaves a really nice line if you can get it right. So obviously the other side of this silver is white. So what I need to do now is just get that gunmetal again and spray over the whole lot, and then obviously from the top it should look white with gunmetal ends. Well, that's the plan anyway. Now the painting's finished, I backed it all in white as you can see. Now let's get this protective coating off. There we go, not looking too bad. It's never going to look as shiny as this again after the first run, but I'm not that 100% sure about this paint job at the minute. We'll get some stickers on it and find out what it looks like eventually. It's going to look a bit different when it's got a few little stickers on. Actually got this wing piece as well. It's going to go on there. And so the last thing I need to do is take this masking off the rear wing. You can see I've blown that over in that gunmetal. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, that's come out rather well. Those lines are pretty neat, nice and straight, and got no bleed. So I'm chuffed with that. So yeah, that should add to the kind of flavour of it. So let's get a few stickers on. Now my original thoughts were to cut off these yellow accents that go around the outside of these stickers, and like the one there, but now I've got the Avante logo on. I mean, I couldn't really leave that off, could I, because it's, you know, the main part of the car, so it is a Super Avante. I think the yellow picks out quite nicely on that gunmetal grey, so I'm going to put them on. Hopefully it'll just kind of tie the theme through. I've got the one on the wing there, and that kind of looks quite nice. So let's just get these on. It's quite tricky to align this up with without the actual window masked out, but I think that's close enough. Okay, we're getting there now. Just got the mud guards fitted. It's just a case of the two 2mm screws and 2mm washers. The same for all, so that's nice and easy. They go onto those brackets, and we're just going to get the wing on now. You can use either A9 or A12, I think it is. No, it's A9 or A10, which are these kind of spacers. You might be able to see there's a small indentation. Make sure that's going to the front of the car. Those go over those posts. Pop your wing on. Then you want these A21 plastic parts go over the top. And then finally you've got a 5mm O-ring that secures that. Then you just got to try and squeeze your two snap pins in. There we go. So we just need to get that driver in place, and we're nearly ready to see what the final car looks like. So here's Paranoid Perry. He's all painted up and ready to go. Gone for a bit of a darker flesh tone there. I think it suits him quite nicely. And a bit of a go at the eyebrows and the eyes, as you can see. Yeah, I do struggle with my eyes myself, seeing the tiny little details when I'm trying to paint, but I've done the best I can. So he's going to go in now. Simply a case of a screw through each of these holes, and it locates in there. It's just two 10mm screws, like so. And as you can see, there's not a lot of room here. I've got my battery in now, I've got my receiver, ESC, it's all connected up. So I'll give it a quick test. Okay then, so let's try the steering. Yeah, it's nice and fast, as you can see. You've not got too much movement on the servo there. And let's try some forward. Wow, that runs really smoothly, doesn't it? Looking forward to getting that out and trying it. So let's get the body on and see what it looks like totally finished. And there she is. And I've got to say, I'm really chuffed with the way this has come out. Now, as you know, there are two camps really for this new Super Avante. People hate it, people love it, and I bet you can guess which camp I'm in. But I'm so glad that I didn't go box art. I always like to put my own slant on things, my own flavour, and as you can see, this is my slant on the Super Avante. And basically what I've done is I think I've made it look a little bit narrower, and that is an old-fashioned optical illusion. Basically what I've done is, as you can see, used the white along the middle, so a nice bright colour in the middle and then a dark colour on the outside, and I think the eye is focused on that kind of narrow strip at first. It's kind of gets your attention, and it detracts a little bit from the side, so it looks less bulbous. I think that's if you see it outside in natural light, I think you might agree with me. Anyway, like I say, I'm really happy with this car. I've really enjoyed building it. It's a lot more involved than an entry-level kit. I know they're a lot of money, so a big shout out to the RC Elf who gave me the opportunity to own and build this beautiful car. And yeah, thanks to him, I shall be looking forward to getting this out. I'm sure it's going to run and drive every bit as good as it looks. So all that leaves me to say, as usual, is thank you all very much for following with me. If you stayed with me for this long, I really appreciate it, and I hope you join me on the next video with this, where we'll be getting out for its first run. All the best to everyone. Bye.